Hello and welcome. Thank you for choosing to spend some time with us. At the National Association of Women in Construction, otherwise known as NAWIC or NAWIC, depending on your accent, we welcome women in construction and their allies from all walks of life, cultures, ages, and stages in their career. NAWIC works to champion this diverse collective of great people doing great things in the construction industry. More specifically, NAWIC's Diversity and Inclusion Portfolio is focused on breaking down barriers, raising awareness, and creating opportunities for the least represented women within our industry. We hope that by sharing diverse stories in diverse ways, that we can empower, inform, and inspire not only people within our industry, but those hoping to join us. I am your host, Rachael Sharp, and I am looking forward to bringing you this story. All right, so hello.
Hello.
Would you like to introduce yourself to us?
So my name's Lisa Erlandson and I am originally from Alice Springs and I'm Aboriginal and my tribe is Arrernte and Kaytetye from Central Australia.
Welcome. What is it that you do for work?
So I'm currently a project manager trainee with Yanan Project Services. I am almost finished, got one more block to do and I'll finish my certificate 4, I think it is, in project management. So yeah, can't wait for that to be done. But at the moment I'm secondant to Tetra Tech International Development and I'm absolutely loving it there. Just work with a bunch of great people. Yeah.
That's awesome. So we're here today to talk about construction, diversity and inclusion, and of course you and your story.
Yep.
So to start off with, what do you think you would call the book or movie of your life?
Growing up, I always loved Coach Carter.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was a big basketball freak back in the day and, you know, I kind of like watched that movie and thought, oh my God, that's my life. Because basketball and education was such a big thing for me growing up as well, sports. So basketball and footy and school was just a big thing for me, yeah.
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 That's awesome. If you were making your own movie or book, who do you think would play you as the main character?
Oh, maybe Halle Berry. Nah, jokes.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm not too sure.
So what is something you think people need to know about how you grew up to understand who you are as a person today? I know your family is quite important to you and in all of the sort of interviews and people that I've spoken to about you, you always sort of bring it back to them. So I'm just interested to hear about that from your point of view.
So yeah, family for me is a big thing. Back in 2018, I left Alice Springs to pretty much explore the world, I guess. Living in Alice Springs my whole life and then going to boarding school. Boarding school was a big stepping stone for me. I learned how to live pretty much independently without my mum and dad.
Were you looking forward to boarding school when you...
Yeah, yep.
Was it something you asked your parents to do?
Yeah, so when I was in high school, I went to school at a public school and there was just a lot of naughty kids and I felt like I was kind of like going down that road with them. And I was just very thankful that there was a program at the school at the time called the Smith Family, Girls at the Centre. And they gave us an opportunity to go down to Melbourne and pretty much stay with families from like a private school there as well. And that gave me a eye-opener to the boarding school world and the private school world and how many more opportunities there are out in the world than just being stuck in Alice Springs, I guess. But yeah, my family have been like my backbone and my biggest support, especially my father, who's been really big on education since I was a little kid.
So that's pretty incredible that at 14 or 15, you recognised that the people around you were sort of going down a path that you weren't interested in going down and said, hey, I want to make a change.
Yeah.
Send me to a boarding school in another city.
Yeah. I think I just seen like the ripple effect of the kids and like the older generation just living a life. Not all, but there's definitely those areas in Alice where kids were taken, the wrong path. And I kind of went down that path for a bit, and I said, like, I thought to myself, this isn't me. This is not how I've been brought up. And I know that there's so much more that I can do with my life than, do what they were doing, I guess.
Yeah, that is really incredible. Is that, so when you say how you were brought up, is that from your parents and what they taught you and what they valued? Like, what do you think your core beliefs and values were that you got from your parents that helped you make that sort of decision?
Well, for my mum and my father, I guess for my dad, he was brought up really rough. He grew up in poverty in Port Augusta, and when we were younger, he kind of made it his mission to like show us his upbringing and pretty much show us how like grateful we are to have the things that we have in our lives compared to like what my father had when he was younger. So that kind of gave me an insight. And my mother also had to drop out of school at the age of 12 to help her mother feed the rest of her siblings, because she was the second eldest in the family, and the second eldest girl as well.
Yeah.
So she had to help my grandmother pretty much put food on the table for the younger siblings.
Did your parents have lots of siblings? Do you have lots of siblings?
No, I've only got one brother.
Okay.
My dad has, I think, 4 siblings. Again, 4 siblings. And my mum is, hold on, I need to count.
Lots of siblings.
6, 7, I think 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. No, sorry. 10 siblings. So she comes from big family. And I guess watching them will tell their story to me and my brother when we were younger.
Yeah.
Kind of like, gave me a view on life, and like I kind of put myself in their shoes growing up. Like, I got to be thankful, I got to be grateful for what I have. Unlike, other kids as well around me, they had a lot more things than what me and my brother did.
Yeah.
And I just was, pretty much grateful. And how else would I say? I was just happy that I had a loving home that I could go to at the end of school as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really special. And thank you for sharing that with me and anyone else who listens along. I was going to ask you the biggest lesson that you learned from those who raised you, but what I'm hearing, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is just the gratitude and being present and making decisions that align with your values.
Yeah, my values is just, I guess, respect, being mindful of other people around me as well, like their upbringings.
Yeah.
And you never know what people are going through also in their personal lives. So I'm always the person in the room that's like always looking out for the quiet one in the corner to go and have a conversation with them, because that's the person who I was when I was growing up. I was always the quiet one in the corner, and I felt like I didn't really have much of that support. So I kind of want to be that support person for people also. Not just in a work environment, but also like if I'm doing presentations and delivering training as well, I'm always that person that will pull someone aside and say like, hey, how's it going? So my value there is just, being mindful, respectful, and always showing people that, they are worthy in this world, because everyone in this world has a purpose, I guess. So not many people realise that they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think your purpose is?
I think my purpose here in the world is to help people, especially my own people back home. I want to be that mentor. I want to be a leader in my community. So I guess, just being that mother, family figure for anybody back home, not just back in Alice Springs, but throughout Australia as well.
Well, from
mentor.
What I've heard about you from others is you are already a leader in your community, and people do really look up to you and respect you. And I think if that's your purpose, you're doing a really good job already.
Oh, thank you.
Sort of fulfilling it. So it's a credit to you.
Oh, thank you.
Back to construction quickly.
Yep.
So how did you get into your current role? What does this journey looked like to get to where you are today?
So I pretty much chucked myself in the deep end for this kind of industry, I guess. I never seen myself to be here in this area, but it's been good, a great learning curve for me. I'm still picking up skills and experience certain things in different areas. But so far, so good. The people in this industry are so supportive.
Yeah.
Very diverse as well, which I love. But yeah, so far, so good. Everyone's just encouraging and still trying to push me to my limits pretty much, because they know that I got potential, but you kind of got that voice in the back of your head saying I can't do that, I can't. But they can see potential, so they're obviously trying to push you to that level of, expertise, I guess. Yeah.
Is it just your voice, do you think, in the back of your head, either telling you to slow down or that you can't do it, or have you experienced any external factors or other voices or things like that that have sort of given the same message, I suppose, as that annoying a voice in the back of your head?
I guess sometimes when I lay down at home at night, I'm like, damn, I need to just slow my roll, because I just feel like one thing is happening after another. And there was a time where I was like, wow, when I used to work for the government, I would be traveling day in, day out. And I just thought to myself, I need to slow my roll because I'm going to burn myself out.
Yeah.
So there's that voice, mentally you got to slow down. And then there's a voice, I guess, from previous places where I've worked where but I need to try get rid of that voice where they'd be like, no, you can't, you're not qualified to do that, or they wouldn't give me that, I guess, opportunity for me to grow in certain areas. So I think I still got a bit of that, I wouldn't say trauma, but that voice from people always doubting me back in the past.
Yeah.
But I need to kind of get rid of that voice and tell myself, you can do whatever you put your mind to, pretty much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what made you decide to make the switch into construction? How did that come about?
I literally was one day when I was living back in Darwin.
Yep.
I just thought to myself, I need a change. The government section just wasn't for me. So I pretty much just thought to myself, I want to go and get up and move and experience something different, something new, something more challenging. And I got in contact with a family friend down here who I used to play football with. And she sent me details for David and Jess.
Awesome.
And I got in contact with them. I will send my resume to them, and then they called me up within that day.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, I'm keen for a new start. Let's do it. So yeah, I ended up traveling from Darwin all the way to Adelaide to get into this industry.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like a lot of times in your life you've sort of picked up and moved and gone and pursued something that you felt like was right for you. Where do you think that fearlessness comes from? What in you gives you the, I suppose, confidence to just go, yep, I'm going to go to do school in Adelaide. Yep, I'm moving to Darwin. No, Adelaide, let's go.
The first, I don't know. I think, in all honesty, I wouldn't say my mum nor my dad, they're kind of my mum's been in Alice since the 70s. She doesn't want to move.
Yeah.
My dad, when I was growing up, my dad told me a few stories of him going here, there and everywhere, and like when he was teaching, and just, I think I got that from him maybe. But I guess it was that whole trip of when I went to Melbourne and then went to boarding school.
Mm-hmm.
And once I had a taste, I was like, no, I want to experience more. And I like the adrenaline as well, of meeting new people and experiencing new things.
Yeah.
And just, I think I'm just living my life to the fullest, I guess, like in that sense. Like I want to experience as much as I can and learn as much as I can.
Yeah. I mean, you sort of brush over it and you're like, I moved here and I did this, but it's pretty incredible to just be able to follow your gut like that and know that it's the right decision for you and you want to give it a go, not knowing what the outcome's gonna be.
Well, when I first moved down here, I was just like, I felt, because I don't really have family down here, and I've only had one friend down here as well. And at that time, I was like, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
I don't want to be here no more. I want to move back to Darwin or Alice. And then I think, like, that was me for about 5 months. And I was like, I can't, like, I don't want to be here no more. And then I guess I made, like, really good relationships in my workplace, which took a while because everyone's just so focused on work. And that's fair enough. We're there to work, but you're also there to, like, I guess, build relationships as well. And I was just very thankful that I had the people that I had at Arrernte and Kaytetye, who pretty much like took me in and it made me feel more comfortable. And I made a really, really good friend that I call sister now, which is Brianna Wilson, who works for Arrernte as well and is seconded to BHP. So I'm just thankful that she's been on the journey with me as well. We have yarns every now and again, checking in on each other, which is really, really good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite important to build that community of people around you no matter where you work.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was going to bring us back in the timeline a little bit. So you have done a bit of work in remote communities and collaborating with non-Indigenous governments, which you brought up before, and stakeholders.
Yeah.
What was that like for you? What did you learn?
It was so good. Like, if it wasn't for the traveling day in, day out, I would most probably be still in that job.
Yeah.
But it just gets tiring.
Yeah.
You got to be prepared mentally as well. And at that point, I wasn't really mentally prepared for all that traveling. And, you only get pretty much a day or two to rest, and then you're up on a plane out to the next community. That was awesome, life-changing, mingling with the other Aboriginal tribes in the Northern Territory, because each tribe is different across Australia.
Yeah.
So it was awesome, especially the top-end communities. I'd never spent much time up in the communities until I started travelling with the government, and just met really, really awesome Indigenous leaders up there who taught me a lot, and also taught me a few of their ways of hunting and traditional ways as well, which was amazing.
Yeah, that's so special.
And I hold that close to my heart. And if I do another trip up that way, I'll definitely be popping in to visit them and saying hello to the community leaders there. Yeah.
Yeah. And how was feeding the information and things that you learnt on that job back into the government? What did that interface look like?
Well, it's because the government, there's so many tiers that you have to go to pretty much speak to, the high people.
Yeah.
It was a bit difficult. Just before I left the government, I was trying to get onto the reconciliation Indigenous board there. And we only had one meeting before I left government, but I was prepared. I wrote down notes and everything to see how we could engage and bring in more, I guess, like create a new framework, I guess, for Indigenous communities, because they are very smart people. They have the knowledge, but I guess like some of the government, they don't really want to sit back and have those like conversations with the First Nations people.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I think that they probably think that they have more important things to do, but in all honesty, like, I think there needs to be more of the groundwork, the grassroots people in Indigenous communities, because it was hard for me to even go and talk to like the director in my department. They just, there was no open door like policy.
Did you get that FaceTime in the end?
No, not really. Yeah, it was just too hard to try and get in contact with certain people in the government.
Yeah. And I can't imagine you would have been someone who would have been like, oh, I tried, it was too hard. Like you would have gone for it and done all the right things.
Yeah, and I was just like, at the end, like at that point, I was like, you know what, I think the most important thing for me is that I took away that knowledge and information, and maybe later on down the track, when I get back to the Northern Territory, I can maybe collaborate with other organisations to get their voices heard in some sort of way.
Are you working with Tetra Tech in their reconciliation efforts as well?
Yeah. So I'm on their reconciliation work plan committee.
Yeah.
That's been awesome. When I first started, I was a bit like, I was the only Indigenous person on the team.
Yeah.
So I kind of felt like it was a bit confronting, even though like it's about my culture.
Yeah.
Just previously when I worked in other organisations, I felt like I didn't have a say.
Mm-hmm.
But then I established a really good relationship with all the community members, and you know, they're always the first to say, "Hey, Lisa, what should we do? What do you think that we should be doing here in this section, and who should we be partnering up with and whatnot?"
Is that a lot of pressure to be the spokesperson for all of those sorts of things, or is it something that you feel really passionate and comfortable doing?
I'm passionate about doing it, but then there's some areas where they don't really push it on me. I guess they like ask me first, or I'll have like one of the members pull me aside or email me.
Yeah.
Hey, are you all right to do this? Or do you need help with doing this? And I'm like, yeah, if you can. They're very supportive, awesome people that I am like so thankful for. Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard, isn't it? Because I think a lot of businesses at the moment are doing reconciliation action plans and things like that, and don't really have that representation within those groups. And I think they have the best intentions to try and do the right things and help in any way they can, but it is quite difficult without representation or speaking to the people who it impacts directly. How do you recommend people sort of navigate that sort of situation?
In all honesty, like if they have the right intentions and they know, I guess if they have the right intentions doing what they're doing, you know, I take my hat off to you guys. But it would be difficult and hard to get that, like, where should I start? Like, what should I do? How am I gonna, like, I'm passionate about helping these people, but like, who do I turn to?
Yeah.
Because like I'm from the Northern Territory, and when I first moved down here, I didn't know any Aboriginal organisations that, you know, I could help link Tetra Tech with. So I had to go to my way and do my own research and like meet new people to actually find out those partnerships.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning, like, I didn't realise how many there were down here, which is awesome. But yeah, I guess like if people are struggling with that navigation, I guess there are like Aboriginal councils and organisations that you can just Google as well. And, you know, most of them will be more than happy to partner up with organisations. And, yeah, there's always passionate Indigenous people down here, which I've noticed are like, yeah, they're all for it, helping other organisations out.
Yeah, so it's like having the right intentions is a good place to start.
Yeah.
But there's a long journey after that to back it up.
Yeah, yep, a lot to learn, yeah.
Yeah, which brings me to, so in the lead up today, I asked you what you would like to use your voice to platform. And I'm going to read back something that you wrote to me. So you said to me, I would like to tell younger generations that education is the key, not just the Western educational system, but also cultural education, especially for Indigenous people. For non-Indigenous people, I highly recommend those that don't know much about First Nations culture to educate yourself. A lot of people are quick to jump to the negative rather than the positive due to media coverage. First Nations people have such a strong, rich and unique culture that dates back 65,000 years. So the reason I'm reading your answer back to you is that after reading it to my fiancé, whose family are Ngarrindjeri peoples, whose land is around the Lower Murray and the Coorong, he was really struck by what you said, because his view is that the uniqueness of the Indigenous culture is so overlooked and so misunderstood. And he wishes that more people took the time to learn about how truly special the connection that the Indigenous people have with the land is, in the sense that, in his view, everything is one. He was saying that the Indigenous and First Nations people look after the land better than any in history because of that belief that if you don't look after the land, you're not looking after yourself and your family.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, sort of why they have had such a strong relationship with the land and been able to form such a strong connection to it for 65,000 years. Like, that's a long time.
Yeah.
So my reason for bringing this up to you is firstly to give it the space it deserves, because I thought that was a really incredible answer and seemed to resonate with other people who are a part of your community as well. But I also wanted to ask you if there was anything else you would like to sort of add to or elaborate on with that quote, and how do you feel like the NAWIC and construction industry could support this endeavour?
Well, this is a great way of starting this conversation, is having First Nations people have these conversations on a broader platform like social media. But I guess it's not always going to be an easy journey as well, because a lot of people are quick to say, you know, like, how do I say this without sounding, I guess there's a lot of people, like, I could sit back with somebody from New South Wales or Victoria and say, you know, Australia was colonised. And then they'll be like, no, it was discovered. And even though, like, it's in black and white, all over the internet and in books, they've just got it in their head that, you know, Australia wasn't settled. Like, nobody lived here.
Yeah.
Captain Cook first discovered this country. It's a hard one to pretty much, it's hard to have those conversations, and then you get a lot, like the older people as well, that will argue the point as well. So I guess you got to sit down and have those deeper conversations with people that are willing to listen and learn. And if they don't, well, that's just on them, which is, you know, totally up to them. That's on them. But, you know, I'm currently doing cultural awareness training with Tetra Tech, and they've given me the opportunity to travel over to Indonesia recently to deliver cultural awareness training to the Indonesian students that are coming across here to study. And I was just blown away by what they know and how they, how they just come across to me and another co-facilitator that was working with me as well. they were just so intrigued. Like they were so, oh, we want to know more. Like, can you sit down? Like, is it all right if we connect in with you with LinkedIn? And I said, yeah, I'm more than happy. Like I said to all the students, like, hit me up on LinkedIn because I'll be more than happy when you come to Adelaide. I can show you Adelaide. Like, this is not my country, but it is my country. You know, Australia is my country. So, yeah, I was just blown away by that. But, yeah, I think it just starts with sitting down and having that conversation.
Why do you think people are so unwilling to listen and learn?
Oh, I don't know. I don't have the answer for that one. Yeah, it's hard because I'm a person that's all like, for me, I'm a person that likes to learn.
Yep.
And if I see something on the media and I'm like, I need to know more about that, I'll study myself and I'll research myself. But not many people are like that.
Yeah.
They just hear and see things and they believe it. I guess that's like, and social media has a big influence on that as well. Anything people post on TikTok, they believe. Anything they post on Facebook, they believe.
Yeah, if it's on TikTok, it's real.
Yeah, it's real. Yeah, so I guess like sitting down with those like First Nations people to have that true understanding. And then I said to a few people as well, come to my country, Alice Springs, and I'll teach you my way.
Yep.
And I'm more than happy to do that for anybody. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really incredible that you're so willing to share your insights and your country and your knowledge with people who haven't always been so receptive to embracing it with the respect and awe that it deserves, frankly.
Yeah. I feel sorry for people that don't want to sit back, listen and learn.
Yeah.
But I guess that's just, I don't know. I don't want to say it in a nasty way, but like there's some people that are just so close-minded.
Yeah, I don't think that is nasty at all. I think some people do get quite set in what they think and their perspectives, and anything that challenges those is a threat to what they believe is right and who they are almost. They take it very personally, even though it's not actually about them.
Yeah, totally agree. But yeah, I'm just willing to move forward and unite as one. Like there's so many different nationalities that live in Australia now.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I think Aboriginal people are the first people to welcome the diversity here. We are very welcoming, especially if you go to Indigenous communities. They're the first ones that say, come here, you want a cup of tea?
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
It's the difference between, as I mentioned, my fiancé is Indigenous. His family is from down South Australia, but they grew up in Hawker, which is more towards the Flinders Ranges.
Yeah.
And when you go up there back to his family, everyone's his family.
Yeah.
And you have these discussions and then we'll sort of leave. And I mean, this is my ignorance showing, but I'm trying to learn. And I'll be like, oh, how did you know them? And he'll be like, oh, I don't know them. I'm like, but you just spoke to them like you've known them your whole life. And he's like, well, I have in a way. We're all from here.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
You know, just that sort of encounter for me was not what I was used to, not what I was raised on. And I grew up here. I was born in Australia as well, though my parents immigrated from the UK after they got married. So it's just differences and trying to be empathetic and open-minded towards how that makes your life views different and what that looks like.
Yeah, it's very complex, our kingship system. I have, like, back home, I have so many cousins and so many aunties and so many nanas, and like, because my family is from Central Desert, like we all got links all the way up to Darwin. So when I go to Darwin, I've got biggest mob sisters and brothers there too. And even like when I used to travel up and down from Darwin to Alice, I'd pop in and say hello to my family in Tennant Creek and Catherine, Elliot. Like I think that's one thing that I love about the Northern Territory is like just that family orientated feeling and that love that they give, and they just care for you no matter if it's 1 o'clock in the morning, they will open their door and have the couch for you, like here's a bed to sleep on.
I was working up in Alice Springs actually a couple of years ago, pre-COVID.
Yeah.
And because I was up there for work, I'd never spent much time there, and I was really keen to sort of stay around a bit longer and spend some time and explore. And my partner Dave, his dad is one of 15 or 16 kids, so he has family everywhere now. And I just sort of said to him, I said, I'm going to Alice Springs. Have you got any family up there? Do you think you could ask them if I could, come and stay? And I don't take up much room. I'm really quiet. I'll feed myself. And he was like, yeah, of course. Like, no problem. Week before I went, and I'd asked months in advance. I'm very organised.
Yeah.
Week before I went, I just said to him, I said, have you asked, it was 2 of his brothers and 1 of his sisters.
Yeah.
I said, have you asked them? Like, is it okay if I go up there? And he's like, no, just rock up. And I was like,
typical. Yeah.
I was like, sorry?
Yeah.
He said, yeah, just sort of call them on the day. Here's a number. They'll come pick you up from the airport because I had to drop the hire car off.
Yeah.
And I said, no, please ring and ask them if it's okay if I come and stay with them for, 3 or 4 days or something. Like, that's a big ask in my opinion. And he's like, that it's fine. Just ring them on the day. They'll come pick you up.
Yeah.
I was like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And it was, and truly, that's what it was like. And we did actually have to call them because I wasn't really dealing with the whole wait till next week situation. But it was just, they were sort of almost like, why are you calling? Just tell us when you need picking up. And I'd met these people only once or twice. And just that sense of community and that welcomeness and that love that you're talking about, it really resonates with me because I have experienced it as well.
Yeah. And you become part of their family immediately.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't have to answer this question if you don't want to.
Yeah.
But have you ever felt like you wanted to hide your identity and your background and that part of yourself? Like, is it ever something that you didn't want to share with others?
The only recently, after the Voice referendum, I was like, I felt like I didn't want to go outside. I felt like I didn't know the mindset of people, and I kind of wanted, just didn't want to be out in public. I deactivated all my social media because I kept seeing all the nasty comments and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, if they're capable of writing this, what are they capable of doing if I go out in public? That day after the referendum, I went on this tour with one of my dad's old workmates and with my auntie as well. And I felt like I needed that at that time as well, because I was like, it kind of gave me that more of a like kick in the ass, I guess. Yep. Excuse my French. But
no.
Like, oi, like, be Aboriginal, be proud of yourself, you know, like, don't let this make you feel any less of like who you are and the colour of your skin, and like, you know, you should be proud. And sure enough, like, it was just really a weird moment that day when I went on that walk with my uncle and my auntie, and there was a few other people that come on the walk as well.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, like, I kind of felt there was like non-Indigenous people there on the walk. And I was like, oh my God, like, I don't really want to be around these people at the moment.
Yeah, because did you feel like everyone was sort of looking at you?
Like, and they were eager to like ask me questions about the Voice, and I just was so over it by then and just felt so down and out, I guess. But then, at the walk, my uncle asked me, oh, what's your totem? Because Indigenous people, we got totems, like kind of like spirit animals.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, oh, my totem's caterpillar. I was like, all right. And he told me his, and then my auntie told everyone hers. And then like literally 2 steps into our walk from when we explained what our totems were, he was like, Lisa, look here. There's 3 caterpillars.
Wow.
And like my heart just sunk. I was like, oh my gosh. And the caterpillar totem is my great-grandmother's totem as well. And I just felt like spiritually that was like my grandmother showing me and telling me, and giving me that strength that I needed on my life journey. I felt that was just a freaky moment for me.
That's so special. Thank you for sharing that. That's truly quite an incredible story.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
I don't know. That was, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm still thinking about that. Had quite an impact on me. Okay. So, I mean, you've talked a lot about sort of giving back to the community and inspiring the youth, and you work in schools, I think, or do some things in schools to try and encourage people to come into this industry. Why do you do that? What's your message there?
I been planning on going to some schools back home.
Yeah.
I was supposed to go and organise a visit at one of my old high schools.
Yep.
But didn't get around to doing it because at that time it was school holidays. But I had a conversation with Jess and David when I first started, and was like, I'd really love to go back to Loretto and just have a little talk with like some of the students there, especially the boarders. And but I haven't really gotten around to doing that, which is on my to-do list definitely next year, to go out and I guess have that conversation with the young students.
And is that sort of through a lens of getting them to think about their careers or just their life in general?
I guess life in general, because I don't know, at a young age, I knew what I wanted to do and who I wanted to be. But I guess once you kind of get into a certain field, you're like, this is not what I want anymore. So I guess like life overall would be what I'm trying to imply to younger students, because life in the adult world is tough and you don't really have much. Not many younger people have that guidance from older people as well. I mean, there are some, but there's not many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think the construction industry is a place for anyone who wants to work in it?
From what I've experienced, I definitely think so. Like NAWIC is such a good organisation where, they are uplifting young women. So, yeah, I honestly think that there's a lot of role models and leaders in that area.
Yeah.
From what I've experienced so far.
How do you think we get people into this industry and keep them here?
I guess having those leaders, mentors.
Yeah.
Because I never knew that there would be space for young women like myself. So I guess you need to have those leaders like yourself and myself, and just and all the other ladies that work alongside me as well, to be the voice for the younger people to come in, be like, hey, there's an opportunity here for you. Come get it if you want.
Yeah, here's the ladder. Come up here, let's go.
Yep. With the help of us.
Yeah, exactly. It's sort of one of those things where anyone can do whatever they want, right? And you sort of mentioned it before about you had a lot of belief and you knew where you wanted to go and all that kind of thing, but no one can do anything alone, I don't think. It's about the support and the people that you bring along the way with you to help you get there.
Yep. Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah.
What's something you would like the construction industry to sort of do differently?
Well, I've only really heard of like NAWIC, but that's only because I'm still new to South Australia. I'm still new to this industry. Oh, I don't know. I guess more mentors.
Yeah. You've mentioned mentors a lot, and this is one of the questions I pre-sent to you, which I've not done a good job of asking you at all because I keep getting distracted by all of the awesome things that you say. Absolutely not. Everything you've said is awesome. So if you could have any mentor in the world, past or present, who would it be and why?
A lady who I went to Melbourne, I stayed with in Melbourne. So the story before, when I was telling you, I went to Melbourne to experience like a private school, boarding school kind of life.
Yeah, this is when you were in high school, right?
Yeah, with Girls at the Centre. And her name's Debbie Brady. And I guess she gave me more of an insight on, I guess, life outside of Alice Springs. She was the one that pretty much gave me that view that you can work hard and you can get this, and you work hard and you can have a nice house, you can have, a beautiful loving family. I don't know, I guess staying with her and being with her and spending a lot of time with her pretty much every year since then. So every year I go to Melbourne and spend time with her.
Amazing. What was her role? Sorry, so you met her on that trip.
So she was one of the parents for the students. So the students that I stayed with her name was Anna and Alice, and they went to a school there called Corowa.
Yeah, okay.
So it's a private school, like a student exchange.
Got you. So it was a partnership to this program that you did, and you went and stayed with that family and understand.
Yeah, sorry, I should have explained that a bit better.
No, don't be sorry.
So they were like a family that billeted me, and I become really close with the daughters, Anna and Alice.
Were they your age?
Yeah, okay. So they're like my sisters. I call Anna's son like my son as well.
That's really special.
Yeah. And so, Debbie has willingly said to me, come to Melbourne whenever.
Yeah.
This is your home too.
Yeah.
So every year I go to Melbourne, spend time with her and the family. And every time I'm there, there's always something new that she wants to do with me, whether it's a trip to the art gallery or she's got people that work in the courts there. And when I first finished school, I wanted to become a lawyer. And she said, oh, well, I'll organise a trip for you to go meet one of our family friends who's a barrister.
Yeah, amazing.
And I said, all right. So I sat down with him and we had a cup of tea, and I was like, oh my gosh, I really want to be a barrister. But then when I got back home and finished year 12, I was like, no, I want to be like a teacher now. I just didn't know. I was passionate about law, but I was also passionate about education.
Yeah.
And then I was working in the health industry as well. So I had all these great ideas, so much to I don't know, I think my mum was just going 101 like Lisa Slater, and you can't do all this at once.
Yeah.
So at that time I was already in health.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll just focus on the health side of things, like doing research and stuff. But law is definitely still on the cards for me later on.
Yeah, that's cool.
So she's just been that mentor.
How long have you had that relationship with her for? How long ago was that you met?
About since 2008 or 9.
Yeah, wow.
So very long time, and Melbourne's like my second home. Yeah.
That's great.
And they're like my family. Oh, well, they are my family. Yeah.
Yeah, you've known them for such a big part of your life.
Yeah.
They would be.
Yeah.
Something that you sort of kept talking about throughout a lot of your stories was relating to you can do everything but not all at once.
Yeah.
So how do you sort of know when the right time is to do things and how much energy to put into something and prioritize all those different things that you want to do, I suppose?
Well, for me, I only just learned recently that, when you do try and do all these things, you're just going to tire yourself out.
Yeah.
Also, I just kind of always tried to force things. But then I realized the universe is not going to work like that.
Yeah.
You just have to let things just fall into place. And if it falls into place, then that's your opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
But then there's some people that are like, I got to do this now and let's do this right now.
Yep.
But I'd tired myself out mentally doing that. So I just wait for that opportunity. And if that opportunity is there, I'll take it with both hands and run with it. And then I'll work off whatever opportunity that is. So at the moment, project management. And with that, it's coming, like opportunities are coming left, right and centre for me at the moment.
Yeah.
So I'm just taking all that in. But in the back of my mind too, I'm still thinking of, I want to do law. I want to do this. I want to do that. But that's not the right timing.
Yeah. And I suppose construction's one of those things where you can bring so much into it. I think that's perhaps something people don't realise is you can do law and still be in construction. Project management is construction. There's so many other different avenues that you can apply those skills to in an industry that you're already getting established in. So it's kind of nice that you're not in something now being like, oh, I want to do law, but that means I have to totally restart my whole life. It's like, well, you actually can do that.
Yeah. Like there's that section in project management where we do have a legal team.
Yeah.
And there's
contracts admin and commercial compliance and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, just a whole variety of things. Yeah.
Yeah. What's next for you? What should we look out for?
I don't know. Like I said, I don't really want to force anything. I think maybe just watch this space and see where I end up.
Yeah, it seems to me like you're quite guided by what you feel and internally. It just, I think you don't quite realise how incredible it is that you don't sort of have that plan mapped out and know exactly what you want to do and are making all the decisions. You're just like, I feel it. I know when it's right. And that's how I make the decision and I'm not thinking about it. It's just happening for me.
Yeah, just letting it fall into its place and if it's there, I'll take it. Give it to me.
And give it your best shot.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time,
Thank
Lisa.
you.
I really appreciate it. And if there is any last messages or words or anything that you wanted to say?
I guess for me, to the younger generation, education is the key.
Yeah, it is.
Not just in the Western world, but our cultural way as well. Never forget where you come from and who you are as a person, because you can't take away what God or what your ancestors have given you. So
and you wouldn't want to, right? It's your superpower.
So that's where we get our strength from.
Amazing.
Well,
thank you. Can I give you a hug? Thank you. This conversation was recorded and produced on Kaurna land. We pay our respects to the traditional owners of this land and waterways, as well as the elders, past, present, and emerging. We extend this respect to all Indigenous peoples of this continent and its adjacent lands, recognising their cultures as the oldest continuous living cultures in human history. We recognise the deep spiritual connections and relationship Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people have with community, as well as the lands, oceans, waterways, air and sky. We acknowledge the land we live, work and play on always was and always will be Aboriginal land.